This eclipse energy is loud, and at the core of this reading is a twin flame dynamic. There is a soul connection here, and there is a choice. The tower's coming in to bring some type of upheaval or sudden change. This eclipse energy is shaking the very foundation of a long-held belief or a pattern, and there is a completion or a major closing of a cycle. So this eclipse energy is loud. The masculine collective is being called to transcend an old pattern, to see beyond the pain, and to recognize the bigger picture. So if you think this reading is for you, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and stick around, because this reading is one not to be missed. Hey, welcome back. Welcome in, everyone. It is Laura, and we are going to talk about these cosmic energies coming in for the collective this weekend. We do have the eclipse. We got Mercury stationing back into Pisces, and we have Neptune going into Aries. These energies are huge. These energies are loud. Before jumping in with the astrology, I do want to talk about the image that came through in meditation. I was meditating on the energies this morning, and I was shown an image of a cave. You think of the cave energy, I automatically think of the hermit, and I do feel this is symbolically connected to the South Node in Virgo energy, which is representing the sweeping energy of the dragon's tail. And so there's a sweeping up of some debris. So let's talk about this image of this cave. And so it was this image of this cave. There was glistening water on the floor of the cave, and there was two holes in the cave, not quite like above, but kind of like shining in, light shining in, as if the rain had just stopped, the sun had come out, and in the center of this cave, there was an island, and on the island in the cave was massive green, bright trees, the greenest green I had ever seen in a meditation. And so I do want to talk about this because I do think this is significantly symbolic, connected to the energies that are playing out, because this eclipse energy is connected to the Aries Libra axis when we had the North Node shifting through Aries. And so this is the final cleanup. This is the final sweeping away of the South Node of Libra, and we're in that South Node of Virgo. And so the cave represents the energy of going within. It does represent the energy of deep, spiritual, subconscious introspection. That is what came through for me. And so we are collectively in this womb of transformation. That is where we at. And so the cave is a sacred space. It's a sacred symbol of solitude, I want to say, and spiritual initiation. And so we're in this place where everything that's hidden is coming to light, right? And so when we go into the cave or the inner world, this is where we seek out and find those very profound revelations, premonitions. That's where they occur, is in the cave, in that hermit energy, the sunlight. There is this energy coming through connected to the energies this weekend of illumination. The sun represents illumination. It represents our vitality. It's the source. It is the source. And so I want to say there is divine insights coming through. We are in a breakthrough portal this weekend. And we do need to remember, we had that eclipse in Virgo 2 weeks ago. And so when the sun reaches inside the cave, that represents the hermit shining the lantern right inside. And so something that's hidden is likely going to be revealed, and that's going to be individual to each and every one of you, what this revelation is going to be. It's going to happen in your inner world, okay? The water on the cave of the floor. Water represents emotions, right? The water element is emotions. It's our intuition. And so it wasn't quite like a body of water, but it was present. The water was present. And so I feel emotions are shifting. They're being reflected back to us, because there was the reflection of the island and the trees in the water on the cave floor. And so it's like the emotions being reflected back rather than the emotions overwhelming you. Okay. And then the light, I really had to sit with that. The light reflecting off the water, I feel, is powerful. This is suggesting the insights that are coming in are not directly, they're through reflections. They're through reflections. And so how we receive intuitive downloads will differ for everybody. But downloads and reflections require observation, right? And so there are subtle messages around us. There are, so pay attention to the subtle messages. Let's talk about the small island of green trees. And so this is where we go into that sanctuary. We are on the precipice, I want to say, of creating and grounding in that inner peace amidst all of the chaos in the collective. And so we are not only in the depths of introspection with these energies, we are discovering our own personal center of vitality, stability, that inner place of abundance, even in the darkness, okay? And so I do feel this is connected to the weekend eclipses energies, and I do feel it is connected to the portal of eclipses between the Virgo full moon eclipse we had on March 14th and the eclipse we're having today. And so there's a lot of deep subconscious clearing happening. There is also a lot of shadow work that is taking place amidst this rebirth that we are all going through. And so whatever visions are coming through for you, it will be a reflection of your own personal journey. And so whatever shadow aspects are coming up that we've been facing since that last full moon eclipse in Virgo, it's all being brought to light. That's what I feel. And so we got to navigate the depths of our emotions and these subconscious patterns. That's what we're here to transcend individually and collectively. And so with the sun reflecting off the water entering in, this is the solar eclipse energy, okay? The rebirth, the illumination, it's all happening within. Everything has to manifest from within before it can be made manifest in our external physical reality. And so there's going to be deep internal shifts, and it will be individual to every single one of you. So find that inner sanctuary, find that place of growth, and remain untouched by the swirling chaos around us, okay? And so the key messages that came through: we are all in a process of deep transformation. We are going to emerge with new clarity, new strength, and that higher aligned vibration with these new earth energies. Trust your reflections, trust the synchronicities, and invite in these intuitive insights, because they're guiding us all forward on our own personal spiritual path. If you are feeling like you're in between right now, in between worlds or in between spaces, the cave represents that liminal space of in between, where something new hasn't quite been born and something old hasn't quite been released, where this energy is growing, okay? And so these eclipse portals, they are opening up a sacred path for the collective. They are leading us all to a deeper understanding of ourselves, of the twin flame journey, of our mission, and our purpose. So now let's talk about this energy that came through as I was really digging into the weekend vibe. So these cosmic energies are pretty loud. Like I said, we have the new moon solar eclipse, we have Mercury shifting, and we have Neptune shifting into Aries, and it's huge. It's huge, okay? And so this partial eclipse that's happening does mark the completion of the lessons. It's the lessons that we needed to learn that began way back in July of 2023 that were supposed to close out in January. So whatever hasn't been completed, this is it. This is the splitting. This is the cleanup. This is the sweeping away of the karmic debris. So pay attention, because this is going to be huge shifts in identity, in autonomy, and in relationships, especially if you have major cardinal placements, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra, and especially if you have any major Aries, Libra influences in your chart. What I find so fascinating is I did have my spontaneous Kundalini awakening back in March of 2019, in between the double full moon energies there. We had 2 full moons in Libra in a monthly cycle back in March of 2019, and something is shifting. I was up last night between about midnight and 2 a.m. with my whole body vibrating with these intense activation and accelerated light codes that have been washing over the collective. Lots of dream space, and I do think that is due to Neptune and Pisces at that 29th degree. And Mercury is going to immediately conjunct Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees 59 when it moves back into Pisces, which is huge. This is it. This is the cleanup. And so this is all about decisive action. This is all about making those bold moves. Aries calls for courage. It is the energy of the Fool. So when you gain that clarity, you have to take that action. You have to take action on what is driving you forward. And so where do you need to let go of old dynamics? Where do you need to step into your true power? Because the Mercury retrograde, I think, is kind of blurring the lines a little bit with communication. But it is a potent time for spiritual initiations, gaining those spiritual insights. And so with Neptune entering into Aries after years and years and years, in that dream-like Neptunian energy of Pisces, we're shifting towards action. We're shifting towards manifesting our dreams, stepping into leadership. It's really time for us as a collective to make our dreams a reality. How do we create real change? We create it in our physical vicinity, in our physical reality. That's how real collective change takes place, each of us doing the individual work. And so the tarot messages that came through was the Strength with the Knight of Swords, the Three of Wands to the Five of Swords, the Lovers to the Eight of Cups, the Lovers to the Three of Swords, the Tower and the Two of Cups, the Fool, the Hermit, and the Seven of Cups with the Death card and the Emperor reversed. Can you say holy moly? And so we're cutting through illusions. We're taking decisive action. There's a long-term conflict here that needs to be released, connected to vision and choosing your path. And the Lovers with the Eight of Cups to the Lovers with the Three of Swords, there is a very heart-centered decision here. And it might be possibly to walk away from a relationship. It could be a choice between two. The Lovers does represent a soul connection coming through. And then I do feel there's going to be sudden shifts in relationships with the Tower and the Two of Cups. There's going to be sudden endings. There's going to be sudden beginnings. So just get prepared for that breakthrough. If you've been single for a while, get ready for an unexpected arrival. If you've been in a relationship dynamic where there's been a back and forth of patterns, get ready to cut that out. Get ready to eclipse that out. But we're on the precipice of a new beginning. And I do feel the Emperor in reversed is a big energy of reflecting on past choices and letting go of control. So let's talk about these tarot cards. Let's get in to shuffling some cards and let's see what the insights, what the cards have to say. This weekend is all about embracing change and stepping into your authenticity. This eclipse energy ain't playing, so please don't resist the changes that are coming forward. We're going to break it down. We're going to jump in with the runes that came out. And so this to me is screaming eclipse energy, right? We get the new moon energy, the new moon rune. We get the new moon eclipse energy. And this feels like a new moon with incoming downloads. And so these runes, I want to say, are pretty significant. They are connected to the Aries solar eclipse that is happening this weekend. And so we as a collective are in a powerful moment of change, transformation. There is going to be disruption. As you saw in the teaser, the tower did come out in the middle row of the reading. And so eclipses do generally signify endings, but with all endings come a new beginning. And so it is a new moon. And so we're not really supposed to be manifesting, I want to say, on a new moon eclipse, but there is a new cycle here. So do set those intentions, release any I want to say attachment to an outcome, because there is a major shift, I want to say, within the collective consciousness. And so it kind of actually feels like a timeline split. I want to say this rune with the line through the center, the new moon with the line through the center, definitely is screaming for me a timeline shift. And so I do feel you could be at a significant fork in the road. I do feel the collective is at large, where basically a choice is going to need to be made. And this choice is probably most likely going to greatly influence future outcomes. And so be careful what you choose. There is an indication, I want to say, of collective divergence, where some people are going to move forward with this new spiritual awareness, while others are going to remain in that old timeline, in that old pattern. And so I do feel this new moon with the antennas coming out, I want to say they look like antennas in reversed, does align with the energy of receiving downloads, receiving ascension codes. And I do feel there's like an intensification of these downloads, which can create a sense of confusion and overwhelm as the collective tries to process all of this new incoming information. And so basically the themes coming through in this reading today are speaking of a collective timeline shift. It is speaking of heightened sensitivity. And I do believe many people are becoming more psychically sensitive, more psychically attuned, which is creating an energetic field of overwhelm as we go through this collective conscious expansion. And so in order to navigate these energies, I do highly recommend you all to get grounded, ground yourself, remain open to the messages coming through. Even if the insights feel intense or destabilizing, get grounded, because this is powerful. This is so powerful. Do you remember the cards on the cut? Do you remember those oracle cards and tarot cards on the cut? Because I do remember. It was the hopeless card, and it was also, oh, what was the other card? There was like a surrender energy, I want to say. There was like a surrender. And so I do feel with the cards on the cut, there is this deep despair energy coming through for the Divine Masculine Collective. And I kept hearing that song, I Fall Apart, by Post Malone. And that song was present for me several years ago on the journey. And so I do feel this is emphasizing the breakdown emotionally that is likely linked to the Divine Masculine and the Divine Masculine Collective. And so there are feelings of grief, feelings of heartbreak. There is a purging, I want to say, of past wounds. It is surfacing very intensely during this eclipse portal. And so there is a need to surrender to vulnerability. And it is confronting when we strip away all of the masks and all of the defenses. It can bring forward a sense of heartbreak, because the tarot cards on the cut was the Palace of Cups and the Star. And so that Palace of Cups, for me, I always read that intuitively as being like the Ace of Cups on steroids. It's deeply emotional. It's almost like a dreamlike state of immersion into the feelings of love, into the spiritual depth, I want to say, of visions of Atlantis. And so there is a lot of ancient wisdom surfacing in these energies. This is a signifying energy, I want to say, of reawakening the heart. Atlantis often represents a lost paradise. It does also represent a fall from grace. And there's memories I feel surfacing from that time period when the heart was pure and open, right? And so I do feel the divine masculine is likely in this state of remembrance, of remembering this past life connection and experiencing a very significant soul level awakening where they are confronting their truth, they are confronting their emotions, and the star is an indication of healing. I did hear the age of Aquarius when I saw that on the cut. The star does confirm healing, it does confirm hope, and it does confirm a new beginning after a breakdown, after a breakthrough. The star comes after the tower, right? And so there is an emotional breakdown for a spiritual renewal that the divine masculine collective is moving through. It is like a crumbling of illusions in order to make way for authenticity and truth. Okay, so these energies are loud. I do feel the twin flame collective is in a major shift, and the divine masculine collective is being called to face their shadow, to let go of pride, to embrace this truth. So let's get into the oracle cards, because we did get 3 cards out. We got the exhaustion card, we did get the heart fog, along with the abandoned card. And so as you see on the card, it speaks of depletion, drained, long journey. The heart fog is speaking of mixed signals. It's speaking of blocked emotions. And I think just a big messed up energy surrounding the masculine. And we closed that off with the last card out being the abandoned card, feeling left out. I do feel this is like an energy of the divine feminine finally walking away, and her energy, I want to say, going cold on the counterpart. And so I do feel the masculines are in a state of feeling emotionally, mentally, and spiritually drained. They are definitely feeling the weight of their past choices, and this is connected to the unresolved pain and unresolved karma that the twins do share. It's like this is all catching up with the masculine in this eclipse portal energy, and there is a deep sense of burnout. There is a deep sense that the masculine has been pushing too hard for too long, not allowing themselves time to rest or process the pain on the heart. And this is pausing. This is like a pausing. This is like a forced, I want to say, reassessment. And the heart fog is really this internal uncertainty, this inner conflict. And I think they're kind of just lost in all of these emotions. They're struggling to differentiate between ego-driven reactions and authentic feelings. I do feel there's that energy coming through. And this does connect into that Mercury retrograde moving backwards into Pisces, which I do feel is intensifying that heart fog energy as it brings up all of these old emotional wounds that do need clearing. And I do think they're feeling the withdrawal. They're feeling the cut. They're feeling abandoned. They're feeling isolated. There is a sense that the feminine is all done with that push-pull dynamic as she reclaims her own peace, as she reclaims her own power. And so this is definitely linked to this tower moment, right? And I do feel as the divine feminine retreats and pulls away and no longer pushes, that's when the switch gets flipped and the masculine is forced to face that shadow alone, forced into that deeper state of reflection. And that's really what I feel is happening in these energies. Let's talk about the bottom of the deck, because we did get the confusion card. And so I do feel there is a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of overarching energy, I feel, about uncertainty connected to the next step on the journey. I do feel the masculine is feeling misunderstood. I think he's feeling lost. I do think he is in this energy of wanting to reach out, but working through feelings of unworthiness, or maybe even too depleted to reach out because of this feeling of being like a lost soul. I do feel there's a victim mentality here that the masculine is caught up in when it comes to a loop of guilt and regret and unsurety of how to break free from this pattern. And I do feel they're in like this energy, I want to say, of an identity crisis. They're asking themselves, who am I without these old ways? Like, who am I? And so they're kind of on the brink, I want to say, of a massive change here. Below the mistake card is the divine feminine. And so this is a clear indication of the energy of the pull. So you're not in the push energy. It feels like you're in the pull energy. You're in the yin energy. You're in this energy of actively holding space rather than actively pursuing. And this is a key lesson for the feminine. And I do feel this is where the masculine comes into that deeper understanding of the true connection. It never comes from chasing, but it does come from embracing vulnerability. And so below the divine feminine card, we get the chemistry card, which is all about attraction, the spark, the passion being reignited, definitely connected to the Ace of Wands card that came out. And so right now I do feel, despite the separation, despite the silence, despite the distance in this energetic connection, it does still remain strong. There is a very intense mirroring effect happening right now. I do feel the masculine is feeling the feminine rising. I do feel, we get the twin flame card, he's feeling her rise. He's feeling the divine feminine's empowered energy more than ever. And he's feeling that pullback from the feminine, which is causing the masculine, I want to say, to confront all of their feelings head on. And I do feel there's a need to release what I want to say is lust. I want to say obsession. And I do feel all of this exhaustion, all of this depletion is all connected to the deep chemistry that they no longer feel, that deep energy between the counterpart, because she's rising. She's rising in her yin energy. And the masculine is being called to break through these limitations. And this Aries eclipse with Neptune also entering into Aries is pushing this shedding of all of the old dynamics. It is pushing that heart healing energy as we move deeper into authenticity. So I just got to say, this spread is powerful. It's transformative energy. I'm going to break it down for you. It's just such a powerful story here being told, connected to the twins, connected to the counterparts. So let's talk about these rows one by one, and we're going to tie it all together with the bottom of the deck, with the Emperor coming through with the Three of Swords, the Nine of Swords. And so we get the Four of Cups, we get the Strength card in reversed, and we do get that Four of Wands. And so, man, that masculine energy is sitting there in that energy of the missed opportunity. I almost feel a sense of apathy coming through. We do get the moon in Cancer. We do get Leo energy, and we do get that Venus in Aries, which is still retrograde, which is all about past lovers coming back. This is all about a reassessment of past relationship cycles. But I do think the masculine seems to be stuck in an energy, I want to say, of rumination and regret, really reflecting on their past choices and really feeling unworthy, I want to say, of this reconciliation. There is a sense of the masculine not seeing the blessings right in front of him. It's like they're too focused on what went wrong. The Strength card reversed is really emphasizing that deep inner struggle, the self-doubt, and almost a sense of feeling powerless. You see the chains around the tiger. It's like they've got the eye of the tiger, but there's something chaining them. There's something holding them back. And they are encouraged, I want to say, to face their fears head on. They've got to find their bravery. They've got to find their confidence. It's like this energy is saying that's faltering. They're feeling vulnerable. They're feeling unsure. But there is this glimmer of hope here coming through with the Four of Wands. There really is. There is this energy of union, celebration, stability, despite the lost feeling, despite this rumination, there is still this deep inner desire, I feel, for reconciliation and harmony on both parts of the twin flame dynamic. And so I do feel, beneath all of the pain, beneath all of the struggles, beneath the missed opportunity, there is still a foundation here, I feel, of love. There is still a connection here that the masculine is holding on to. And the middle row kind of tells a deeper story here connected to that top row. We do get the Tower, we get the Lovers card, and we get the World card. And so there is massive upheaval. The Tower comes to shake things up. The Tower, actually, a lot of people fear the Tower, but I kind of love the Tower. It breaks us free from a false foundation. It breaks us free from illusion and anything that wasn't built on solid ground. This could be a shaky foundation connected to the masculine that is coming to an end. This could be a long-held belief or a pattern. It's breaking down. I just want to say there is a major breakdown of the ego and illusion connected to the masculine, and there could be a major shift in their external world that is falling apart, that is kind of forcing this energy of realignment. And this is at the core of the reading, is the Lovers card. And so there is a choice. There is a soul connection here. This is connected to the twin flame dynamic. It really is. And so because this also serves for me as a timing card, it is kind of pointing to Gemini season. So I want to say it is suggesting there is something crumbling right now in the masculine's world. And there is a decision that is being made right now that might not come to fruition until about May or June after the clearing takes place. But there's an invitation here I want to say to choose authenticity, to choose love over fear. And it's not an easy path, but we are completing these cycles. This is connected to Saturn energy as well. And so there is a closing of a cycle. This does speak to the end of that Aries Libra axis as we close out this eclipse energy that started back in July of 2023. So look back to July of 2023. Where were you then on the journey? I do feel the masculine has been in a healing energy since then and is now finally being called to transcend these patterns, to see beyond the pain, and to recognize that bigger picture. I really do feel that. Another thing I want to point out is major, 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 major. So this is big. This is major. The universe is kind of taken over here. The universe is in control. And so this bottom row is pretty loud too, with the Death card, the Seven of Swords, and the Ace of Wands. This is total transformation. This is rebirth. We are also in the year of the snake, and so it is time to shed these old skins. It's time to let go of the past hurts. It's time to embrace this change. I do feel like the masculines are feeling like they are at rock bottom, whether financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually. They are at a rock bottom moment in order for them to shed and to emerge into their true self, their true authentic identity. And this is like, it's time to come clean. It's time to be honest. It's time to drop the mask. I do feel the masculine really is reflecting on his past deception and his self-sabotaging patterns and wanting to make amends. This screams to me confession. And there is a passionate new beginning here. There is. There's a spark of motivation for the masculine to take action. This is the potential for a fresh start after a period of destruction, after a period of realization, after a period of rebirth. And so this, I want to say, is the light at the end of the tunnel. This is signaling that new energy is emerging, and the divine masculine will emerge from the ashes and rise like that phoenix, holding that torch, holding that flame. And so I just want to say, over the course of the next year, there is going to be a wave. There will be a wave of divine unions. And right now, whatever is shifting during the eclipse is making space, is making way for these unions to come together. Now, let's talk about the bottom of the deck. Let's talk about this. Because there's that Three of Swords. There's that heart activation connected to Saturn. We get Mars energy. And so there's a lot of overwhelming fear. There's a lot of overwhelming anxiety here that I feel the masculine has to step into, step over, to rise as that true divine masculine authority. And so there's heartbreak, there's anxiety, there's fear, I want to say, over stepping into power. This, I want to say, is the haunting. It's like they're being haunted by their past mistakes. They're probably not sleeping well at night. Their thoughts are wheeling, wheeling, wheeling. And this is connected to the pain and the lack of remorse that they've brought forward, connected to their past actions, connected to the hurt and the pain that they've caused the divine feminine. But they are on the brink. They are on the brink of reclaiming their divine masculine inner authority and stepping into that emperor energy. And I do feel there is acceleration. There's communication coming. We get the Eight of Wands to the Knight of Wands to the Seven of Pentacles to that Ace of Swords. And so this is pretty loud. This does signify this deep desire to move forward very quickly, especially with the Knight of Wands coming out. And the Seven of Pentacles is suggesting patience and contemplation. And so there is a need to plant a seed. There could still be things that need to unfold in the background before a decision can be made, before the masculine can rush in. But Spirit is guiding the masculine to come in with communication. As you can see, we get the Mercury symbol. And so Spirit is loud on this one. They're saying you've got to act now. You can't keep waiting on this. Yes, things are unfolding, but this truth, this clarity that is emerging is indicating that the masculine needs to step into his truth. He needs to bring forward communication. And further behind that, there was the King of Cups. And so this is about emotional maturity. That's going to be key in these energies over the coming days with this eclipse portal. And so I just feel right now there's a shift, there's a catalyst moment. The resolution will be around the corner. It might not come till Gemini season, or when Mars finally moves back into Leo and passes that degree that it started at when it went retrograde. But right now I feel the masculine is in this preparation, in this rebirth energy, connecting to his deeper self, connecting to a deeper understanding of their role within the twin flame dynamic, within this collective mission. And I do feel there's a breakthrough. There definitely could be a shift. There definitely could be communication coming once this eclipse energy settles and once Mars regains that direct motion, because we get Mars energy, we get quite a bit of Mars energy coming through. And so I just want to say this reading is so very loud. I do feel it is a message of hope. I do feel it is a message of renewal. And we need to trust that this profound cosmic cycle is reaching completion on the Ascension card. The twins are evolving into these higher states of consciousness. And yes, you are ready for this. We are on the pathway of no limits. So let's close this reading off. Let's see what the final message is as this light breaks through and we enter into a new dawn and a new chapter. Okay, one went totally flying across the room. Let me see if I can reach it. I got it, guys. I got the card. Okay. We do get the abundance card. And so when your heart's intention is to serve humanity, doors of abundance naturally open. Free spirit. To be a free spirit is to float without walls, to fly without judgment, and to love without conditions. Bottom of the deck, we get the guidance card. You are not alone. You are guided by masters and teachers of the highest realms. So get ready for this shift, guys. If you are interested in learning more about your birth chart and how it can connect to this astrology playing out, hit me up down below. Comment free guide. I will send you the free guide. I also do have a published ebook for download. It talks about the twin flame journey. It talks about union. It talks about alignment. It's not just about romance here. The twin flame energy is so intense. And if you want to know how to navigate these energies like a pro, comment down below twin flame guide and I will send you the link. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you on the other side.